Have you ever chased something for so long, only to wake up one day and wonder if it ever actually belonged to you? Or like you've been pouring time, energy, prayer, everything you have into a dream, and suddenly you stop and think, wait, did I choose this? Or did I just agree to it along the way? Hi, lovely DIAs. Welcome back to another episode of the Dream in Action podcast, the space where dreams are celebrated and dreamers always highly valued. I'm your host, Tee Ari, your Dream Doula, transformational coach, and creative. And here's a little bit of randomness from my week, just to break things up a little bit. So this week, I announced at work that I was resigning and moving to another company. Now, this is usually not a biggie, right? Except I have only been in this place for 3 weeks. And to my delight, I believe I was actually starting to make impact because I received the best compliment ever. And it was from a colleague telling me how much he admired, how happy I always was. Oh my goodness, that literally made my day because I actually think I'm quite melancholy naturally. But that compliment was evidence to me that my personal development work was paying off. And if that wasn't evidence enough, I was offered something similar to like an open ended offer to come back anytime if things didn't work out in the new company, which actually made me quite emotional. And speaking of changing jobs, I'm afraid it will impact the frequency of the podcast a little bit because I'll be releasing a podcast every 2 weeks now until the end of my training period, which will be the end of February. So don't worry, it won't be forever. I will definitely be coming back to the once a week cadence. But this is just to allow me balance all the other priorities in my life. So I take my own advice and I don't go down the path of burnout. So back to today's episode. But first, if you missed last week's episode on the hidden gift of boredom, I know it doesn't sound like the most interesting episode, but trust me, you would want to go back and listen to it after this one because this episode flows right out of that one. Because boredom invites us to pause. But once you pause long enough, questions start to bubble up. They are likely going to be questions around life, purpose, meaning, finiteness, relationships, and or your brain starts a type of reevaluation process. You start evaluating decisions, choices, pathways, desires, plans, and of course, dreams. And it's at that point you may ask the question, is this dream I'm chasing actually mine? Well, that's why boredom is a gift, isn't it? And if you've never reevaluated your dreams, now, my friend, is a fantastic time to do so. I invite you to use this episode as a springboard, but do it now. And with that, my name is Tee Ari, and this is the Dream in Action podcast. Have you ever felt like you were just existing, not truly living? Like you were made for more, but somehow life got in the way? Hey, I'm Tee Ari, your host, transformational coach, and dream doula. Welcome to Dream in Action, the podcast where we don't just talk about dreams, we bring them to life. For years, I nurtured others, first as my mom's oldest child, then as a mother myself. And then somewhere along the way, I lost me, stuck in autopilot. But I was never able to shake the fact that my mom passed away at just 42, full of unfulfilled dreams. And I knew I couldn't keep waiting. So I embraced the stretch, took action, and found opportunities in places I never expected. Now, I help women over 40 do the same. Stop waiting, start dreaming, and take bold action. If you're ready to go from feeling stuck to building something meaningful, you're in the right place. This is Dream in Action. So for the longest of times, all I wanted to do was sing. It was a dream I carried for years and years. I was crazy about music, bordering on obsession, and nothing, at the time anyway, came close. Even now, it still feels like an old dear friend, one that I know deeply, personally, and intimately. And in my 20s, music ticked all the boxes: creative, meaningful, and even a little glamorous. I mean, who doesn't like to be given a round of applause after doing something or sharing something that means a lot to them? So even when I sensed a little misalignment deep within, I held on for dear life because that was all I knew. It's like having a boyfriend you know isn't really the one. I mean, he's a good guy through and through, but you know he's not really the one, but you're holding on because it's all you have for now. But then you don't fully commit because deep down, you know you can do better. I remember my first website, I was going to call it tossamusic.com. And then last minute, I changed it. I even called the domain company because I couldn't change it for the life of me. I couldn't change it online. So I called the domain company and changed it to tossaofficial.com because I knew it will hold more than just my music. And it did, because I began to write blog posts and it began to house the first iteration of this podcast, the Girl Unlimited podcast. I recently only shut down that website actually and had the opportunity to read some of my writing. And I had a field day. There were writings where I was teaching on different things, like how to pick a worship set list, for instance. And then there were memoir style writings, like what I would do differently if I were 19 again. And there were even short stories. This is one of the reasons music will always, always be special to me because even my short stint in the music industry world taught me more about me than anything else. And if for nothing, it is still my favorite expression of worship to God. But the deeper I got into it, the more restless I became. I would wake up with that low hum of anxiety, not fear, not excitement, just I couldn't put my finger on it. But the only word I can use is that slight misalignment, one that can be mistaken for full alignment, but you just know something very tiny is off, something deep down. At first, I called it resistance, that thing we blame when we're struggling to stay motivated. And it's something I talk about a lot. And there are times to resist the resistance. But looking back now, I think my soul was just whispering, go deeper, there's more. It wasn't that the dream was wrong or was bad, it just had a slightly different flavor. And I'm still learning all this, by the way. But one thing I do know was that it was built on who I thought I should be, not necessarily who I actually was becoming. And when I finally admitted that to myself, I felt both grief. I even feel the grief now as I speak. But then there was a little bit of relief as well. And you're wondering why grief? It was grief for the time and energy invested because I invested a lot of time and energy, guys. But there was also relief because I was finally telling myself the truth. So, how do we tell if a dream is truly yours, or if it's borrowed or handed down or shaped by someone else's expectations? Because some dreams are divine callings, while others are either masks covering the real dream beneath it, or costumes we've been wearing for so long we've forgotten what we look like underneath. So let's break it down. Number one, we have the borrowed dream. Now, this one usually starts with admiration. You see someone else thriving in their lane. It might be their business, their ministry, their art, and something in you just lights up. You think, maybe that's what I should do. So you borrow their dream like it's a pair of shoes that almost fit, but it is ever so slightly hurting your smallest toe. And at first, it is thrilling. You feel inspired, fueled, seen. Their path looks so clear. Their results are so tangible. You start following their routines, you adopt their mindset, even maybe start mimicking their language, but you know something feels off because borrowed dreams, yes, they can inspire you, but they don't sustain you. And understandably, because they weren't measured for your soul. So after a while, the friction starts to show. You start feeling exhausted for reasons you can't explain. You begin resenting the very thing that once excited you. And deep down, you know that it is because you are living someone else's yes. You've built a version of success that looks right, but doesn't feel fully right. So, how do you know you are living a borrowed dream? And here's a clue for you: you are doing all the right things, but you still feel strangely disconnected. It's like singing someone else's song. And yes, you hit all the right notes, but it doesn't really feel like yours. Okay, number two, you have the hand me down dream. And this one, especially if you are from my side of the world, you will recognize this one because it comes wrapped up in love, duty, and good intentions for the most part. It's the dream you inherited from your family, from your culture, your maybe your faith community, maybe your environment. It's the unspoken should that's been quietly steering your choices for years. So you didn't exactly choose it. It was handed to you, maybe as protection, maybe as legacy. You know, the be a teacher because it's safe, or be a doctor because you will always have a job, or be a lawyer because it is highly admired, or don't waste your degree because you worked so hard for it. And for a while, it serves you. It gives you structure, belonging, identity, even. You feel useful, even proud of your accomplishments. But as you grow, something shifts. You start hearing another rhythm underneath all that noise. That right there is the faint beat of your own desire. And then the guilt kicks in. You feel ungrateful for wanting something different. You start whispering secret dreams to yourself in the dark. Maybe if you love journaling like me, you start journaling it in secret. If you're struggling to decipher whether this is the dream that you're living, here's a clue for you. You feel torn between loyalty and authenticity. You love your people, but you're outgrowing their version of what your life should look like. And that's one of the most sacred crossroads you'll ever stand at. Not a lot of people actually get to that crossroad. But here you are choosing truth over tradition, even when both are wrapped in love. And then you have number three, the ego dream. This one is quite sneaky because on the surface, it looks noble, driven, ambitious. It's the dream that feels personal. The only difference is that it is powered by proving. You're trying to prove something to someone. You want it because it validates you. Because maybe, just maybe, if you finally hit that milestone, the 6 figure year, the title, the recognition, you will silence the inner voice whispering, you're behind, you're not enough. Now, I know this one very personally because I did have a multi-million-dollar goal and it fueled me. It fueled me for many years, not necessarily because it was mine, but because for a long time I was feeling behind and I was feeling like I wasn't enough. And the thing is, the ego dreams aren't evil. They are born from a place of pain. It's that part of us that just wants to be seen and valued and chosen, not necessarily just by other people, but by yourself, chosen by you. But the problem is, again, they don't and can't satisfy because every achievement only feeds the hunger. Every made it moment moves that goalpost even further away. And before long, you're chasing applause instead of alignment. You've built this whole identity around performing and not who you really, really are. And here's the clue so you know if this is the dream that you're living. You're succeeding, but you feel hollow. You're being praised, but you're not present. It's like living on stage under bright lights. Everyone sees you, but you can't see yourself anymore. I remember reading the autobiography by Andre Agassi, the tennis champion, and the first few chapters of his book broke my heart because I could tell that this started out as a hand me down dream and eventually became something close to what was an ego dream. I don't remember the name of the book, but I will put the link in the chat if you are interested in reading it. Now we come to number 4, the true dream. This is the quiet, stubborn dream, the one that never really goes away. Even when you move on, it follows you quietly in your journaling, in your prayers, in those random moments when your guard is down. It doesn't demand attention, it just waits for your honesty. It's the dream that feels both terrifying and right. The one that doesn't flatter your ego, but feeds your soul. And when you think of it, something inside you exhales. You might not know the how, but you know the yes. This dream grows with you, not against you. It asks for growth, not perfection. It doesn't compete, it collaborates with who you're becoming. And even when it stretches you, and it will, there's peace in the stretch. And here's the clue that you're living this dream. You feel most yourself when you're doing it, even when it's hard. You lose track of time. You feel present, alive, and that important word again, aligned. Hey, dreamer, quick pause. If this episode is stirring something in you, but you're not sure how to start, I've got you. Grab my free dream activation kit. It's your first bold step out of confusion and into clarity. Inside, you'll get the Spark session, a guided audio to help you reconnect with what you really want, my dream discovery workbook to map it all out, and Dream Speak, a short affirmation track to boost your belief again. This isn't fluff, my friend. It is fuel, and it is completely free. DM me the word dream on Instagram at Hey Tee Ari, or head to the link in the show notes. All right, back to the episode. True dreams don't just give you purpose, they give you presence. They make you come home to yourself. And probably you're thinking, oh my goodness, I don't really know. So maybe I am in between dream 1 and 3, or a mixture of dream 2 and 3. And that's normal, because sometimes the only way to find your true dream is to outgrow the false ones. You simply had to live them to see the difference. Because something dreams are really good at doing is showing you present you and future you. And sometimes the reflection in the mirror has to change before the dream can too. So if something feels off right now, if you're restless, uninspired, or quietly questioning everything, don't panic. You're probably just in the sacred space between what was your dream and what is becoming your truth. And I know that in betweenness can feel uncomfortable. You've built something, right? You've achieved something, maybe even loved something, but you're not sure if it's still yours. So before you burn everything down or double down on anything, I want to invite you to pause. Here's a little coaching for you. I want you to ask yourself these questions. Who benefits most if I keep chasing this dream? If no one ever saw me or applauded me, would I still want it? When I picture the future, does this dream feel like freedom or pressure? Who told me this dream was the right one? Now take your time. Feel free to pause me while you think on those questions. And you know what I'm going to say next. Journal on these questions. I want you to be honest, but just not honest. I want you to be gentle with yourself because this is what I've learned. When a dream is truly yours, it will require your growth, but it won't cost you your peace. Yes, it will stretch you, but it won't make you feel hollow. Yes, it will probably ask you to be brave, but it will never demand for you to betray yourself. So maybe today the invitation isn't to chase harder, but to have the courage to release something, to lay down what no longer fits, so that what is truly yours can find you again. You don't have to manufacture your next dream, you just have to make room for it, because the right one always feels like coming home to yourself. Let me leave you with this quote by Howard Thurman, which is one of my favorite quotes. You guys know I gush over quotes. I know. I've probably shared this quote in a past episode, but it is this: don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Ah, I just love that quote. And isn't that the heart of it? The world doesn't need you to chase every dream. It needs you to live the right one, the one that makes you and only you come alive. Because that is exactly what the world needs. Until next time, lovely dreamers, keep dreaming, keep daring, and keep moving towards your spark. And that's it for today's episode of Dream in Action. I hope this conversation stirred something in you, maybe a fresh idea, a little more clarity, or just a reminder that your dreams are valid and worth pursuing. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a new one. And if you're feeling generous, leaving a review helps people find this podcast. It's like telling the algorithm, hey, this is worth listening to. So if this spoke to you today, and you don't even do any of the other two, please share it with a friend or two. Before we go, let me leave you with one of my favorite Bible verses of all time. Never doubt God's mighty power to work in you and accomplish all this. He will achieve infinitely more than your greatest request, your most unbelievable dream, and exceed your wildest imagination. He will outdo them all, for his miraculous power constantly energizes you. Ephesians 3:20. Until next time, dream wildly, live boldly, and keep going.